What's going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993 coming at you for another retro review. We're going back now and reviewing WrestleMania 7, the seventh video of this WrestleMania review series. And we got a pretty solid show for this WrestleMania, I felt. Unfortunately, though, it felt like how SummerSlam 2016 felt for me personally. The first half of the show was great. The second half, not as great. Wasn't atrocious, but it wasn't as good. The first half reaches peak at the Warrior and Savage match, but then the rest of the matches and the rest of the show were like, either just mainly meh. The main event wasn't too bad, but it was still kind of meh through a good portion of the show after that. The date was March 21st, 1991. It took place at the Los Angeles Sports Arena in Los Angeles, California. And you would think that, especially after watching it before I heard the attendance, you would think that this would be one of the biggest attendance records for WrestleMania. Unfortunately, there's only about 16,000 there. And I believe 6 was the one at in Toronto. 6 at Toronto because the previous 2 were at the Trump Plaza. But I guess there's rumors because of the character of Sergeant Slaughter, how he was being written, and I guess there was some controversy. So some people were a little worried that if too many people showed up, some things may go down. So I think that's why they limited the seating, I think, at the sports arena in LA. But definitely a big dip in attendance from the year before. And they probably could have held like about 1,000 some people in this arena, but it is what it is. But again, the crowd was still into it. Again, if I wouldn't have heard that number, I wouldn't have even thought anything of the crowd having low attendance. But the main feud going into, there's 2 like big matches going into this WrestleMania, kind of like intertwined together story-wise some way. It goes back to WrestleMania 6 when the Ultimate Warrior beat Hulk Hogan in the Ultimate Challenge title for title. Not too long after that, Sergeant Slaughter returned to WWF after being gone in the AWA, and he had turned on America and became an Iraqi, aligning himself with General Adnan, and then he would eventually challenge the Ultimate Warrior in a title match at the Royal Rumble. Randy Savage, who had been on the quest to get the title back after losing the title to Hogan at WrestleMania 5, he was not getting opportunities from the Ultimate Warrior, and then Savage would soon take it into his own hands, causing him to cost the Ultimate Warrior the match at the Royal Rumble, and Sergeant Slaughter won the title. Warrior wanted to get his revenge by challenging Savage to a retirement match, even though apparently in the long run this ended up not being the loser's last match. Anyway, but still, it was, the stipulation was high. And Hulk Hogan, who would win the Royal Rumble that year, after Slaughter defaced the American flag, Hogan promised to stand up for the country, and by defeating Slaughter at WrestleMania 7 and becoming a 3-time champion. So that was really the main story going into this WrestleMania, which again could have been one of the best WrestleManias, which at the time probably was. But with what we've gotten today also, I'm sure this WrestleMania is a little bit further down on the list. But still, I thought it was a solid show. Again, the second half kind of dipped a little bit, but the first half was pretty good, I felt. We started off with a tag match, Again, this probably takes the cake as the best opener so far. That's definitely going to change against WrestleMania 10, though. Either main event WrestleMania 10 or WrestleMania 30, I keep saying, it's probably going to be, to me, the best opening match of WrestleMania. It was Haku and Barbarian with Bobby the Brain Heenan taking on the Rockers, a team of Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the pre-HBK days still also. And this was a really fun opener. It was a good powerhouse versus high-flying match. Kind of reminded me of a little bit of a match between, the Authors of Pain and DIY we got today. A bunch of big guys taking on, quick-moving, smaller guys. And they just meshed well, had great chemistry together. The Rockers did win, and this was where Shawn Michaels was really starting to hit his highest stride, I felt, as he was getting ready eventually to split up from Jannetty and going to be a singles competitor. I'm not sure if that happens at WrestleMania 8 or WrestleMania 9. Definitely sometime soon, though, because this is where, like, the momentum was there for Shawn Michaels. I mean, Marty Jannetty was good too, but Shawn Michaels, I know, took off a lot further than Jannetty as well. I think they eventually did turn on each other. Well, Michaels did in that barbershop skit, I think, that famous heel turn by Shawn Michaels. So again, a good match. It just set the stage for better things to come, though, for Shawn Michaels. Then we have the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, taking on Dino Bravo with Jimmy Hart. The match was decent. Kerry won the match, but it keeps kind of like, I keep seeing this Dino Bravo character, and personally, I'm just not really buying into it. I just don't really see too much in Dino Bravo. I haven't really been too impressed with him. He's someone else I could do without. So the match was, it was good for what it was. Wasn't terrible. Kerry won. Moving on, we had another a powerhouse match. It was the Warford with Slick taking the Warlord taking on Slick with Slick. I can't talk right now. The Warlord with Slick taking on the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith. And the winner was British Bulldog. It was a solid powerhouse match. Smith won with a power slam. You don't get to see those too often. Bigger men, go at each other. Usually the matches are a little, slow, not too agile. But these guys, when I put on a pretty good match, I enjoy it for what it was. I thought it was one of their matches of the night as well. That's why I enjoyed that match. The World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship match. It was a Hart Foundation taking on the Nasty Boys. Don't know so much about the Nasty Boys, but the crowd really, gave them heat tonight. As the Hart Foundation was definitely the face team here, the team that people loved, that wanted to see retain their tag team championship. But unfortunately, they lost. After the Nasty Boys used good heel tactics, cheating with striking with one of the Hart Boys with Jimmy Hart's megaphone to pick up the victory. They're new tag champions. I know a lot of people apparently weren't really that big of fans of the Nasty Boys, but they had a moment here, gaining a lot of heat here, and setting up the more underdog stage for Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart. But again, better things to come down the road still for Bret the Hitman Hart as well. But this was still a good tag match. I definitely enjoyed the opening match with Haku and the Barbarian taking on the Rockers a little bit better than this. We then had a match that really wasn't so much of a match, but it was still very entertaining. The crowd was really into this match, just directing traffic pretty much. I know some people might think this match was pointless and stupid. And, matches like this, a lot of times they don't work, especially today. But if you have the right people out there, it'll work. It was the blindfold match. It was Jake the Snake Roberts taking on Rick the Model Martel in a blindfold match. Again, these two couldn't see each other where they were going, but it was entertaining still, the crowd telling them which ways to go. I mean, and such. It looked like a game of like Marco Polo. It's like they'd be pointing around and be like, no, yeah, and whatnot. And then eventually, Jake got close to Martel. And people said he got him, and he hit him with the DDT. After the match, Roberts pulled out Damien, and he set him on there. I was surprised to see Damien. Was it last WrestleMania or Mania before? It's been a couple days since I reviewed these Manias. I remember we didn't see Damien, so I was a little surprised about that. I think it was the match. It wasn't the match against Andre. It was, I'm trying to remember who he faced last year. But I thought this was still an entertaining match. I liked it for what it was. You guys be the judge as well, but I still enjoy this. Then we had an average squash match. It was match number 1 of 25 WrestleMania matches to come with The Undertaker. It was The Undertaker taking on Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Paul Bearer also was in the corner of the Undertaker. The Undertaker was still a little green around this time. Like you didn't have the big stage setting for the big iconic streak you had down the line. No one really thought of it, of course, at this time. Undertaker won, but it was a squash match. Not really one of his best matches yet. We do get a lot better matches down the line with Taker with, HBK, Triple H, Randy Orton, I believe, Batista, CM Punk, get the WrestleMania 29. Still get good ones down the line. We had some bad ones too. This one was not the worst. I know which one was the worst. We'll talk about that one when we get to it in 2 WrestleManias. But yeah, average squash match. Not one of Taker's best, but it was the first of 25 matches he would have. Now we get to one of the two big matches. Career versus career. The Ultimate Warrior taking on the Macho King, Randy Savage, was the sensational Queen Sherry in Savage's corner. What an amazing match. These two, like last year with Hogan and Warrior, these two brought out the best of each other. They were kicking out of finishers left and right. I think Warrior kicked out of 5 of Savage's elbow drops, and Savage kicked out of how many of Warrior's finisher as well. These two was bringing it out each other, and of course the big story tonight also was they were showing during this match Miss Elizabeth in the crowd, watching over her former manager. Well, she was former manager of Randy Savage. They split up after Savage was such a huge jerk to her, abusing her, mainly involved with the whole thing with Savage and Hulk Hogan splitting up from the Mega Powers. But this match was again, loser goes home. Warrior would eventually go on to win the match. Of course, at the time it's like, yes, Warrior won, but sad for Savage. That's when Sherry realized, she was out of a job as well. So she turned her back on Savage, started beating him down. And then Miss Elizabeth's out in the crowd, but she couldn't take it anymore. She got in there, got Sherry out of the ring, and then Savage didn't realize what was going on. He thought it was Miss Elizabeth attacking him. But till the referee said no, it was her, and Miss Elizabeth said, Savage in there, he's hesitant. Miss Elizabeth says, I love you and such, and they reunited. One of the best WrestleMania moments people talk about. I got to watch it on the network, and I thought I could definitely see why the big story behind this. It was involved one of the biggest splits in wrestling history with Savage and Hogan. And now it comes full circle here, and was looked like it was going to be Savage's retirement match, but he did appear. I believe he did appear still down the line as well, but we'll get to that later on. I can't remember again. I don't know if he went to WCW or if he stuck around in the World Wrestling Federation, got back somehow, but we'll see what happens. Now Sherry though, she appears later in the night, but again, classic match of the night by far. One of the better matches in WrestleMania history, I'd say. I mean, I don't know, I don't know if I might enjoy more. This one or last year's main event with Hogan and Warrior. I'd say give the edge a little bit to Hogan and Warrior, but this one by far was just another one of those iconic moments. That we had the slam to Andre at WrestleMania 3. This was just an amazing moment right here, and the crowd was crying as well. They really felt the emotion of these two getting back together. So that was that. And this, of course, is where I said before, the show kind of dipped. We then had a match that was kind of dull. It was Demolition. Before it was Axe Smash. Now it's Smash and Crush with Mr. Fuji taking on Tenryu and Kiyata. Tenryu and Kentao. Winner was, Tenryu and Kiyata. Not really, the crowd wasn't really into it. This match was kind of dull. Not really one of the best matches for Demolition, who had put on some solid matches when they were fighting for the tag titles. And last year when they fought against Andre and Haku, I thought that match was pretty good, leading to the breakup from Andre and Bobby Heenan. But this match, not really. This match didn't really hit me. It was kind of dull. We had a match that was good, but the finish was kind of weak. Which thank goodness we didn't get as many DQ and count finishes, but here is one of them right here. The WWF Intercontinental Championship. It was a Big Boss Man taking on Mr. Perfect. The Big Boss Man won by DQ after Habu and the Barbarian interfered. Andre also came down though to side with the Big Boss Man. Of course, this was also where Andre was really cutting back. I believe he retired the following year, but he wasn't really in any more matches. But I think he just appeared here and there. But his health was really starting to get to him, as I said, before he died in 1993. But he appeared and pretty much was at the side for the Big Boss Man. But DQ finish, match was too bad. The finish was just kind of meh. Then we move on to, it was not so much different from last year, but it was Earthquake taking on now a babyface, Greg the Hammer Valentine, but Earthquake won, just making him another victim for to send people to the hospital and such. And this is where Greg Valentine was also starting to wind down as well. He was getting close to the end of his career as well. So kind of a squash match for Earthquake, not terrible. Another short squash match in a minute. It was a Power of Glory, Hercules and Paul Roma with Slick taking on the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal. Legion of Doom wins in a minute. Squash match, nothing else to say. We ended this match, which I thought at first was going to be pretty good, but kind of ended up being a little flat and bad. It was Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, taking on his former, bodyguard, Virgil, with his friend Rowdy Roddy Piper in the corner. And Piper just recently been in some accident or whatnot. Virgil had turned on DiBiase. Well, DiBiase turned on Virgil, whichever way it was. And the build for this feud, when I saw it, did seem pretty good. Like, it was pretty heated. But the match itself just kind of felt flat. I heard that Virgil, he looked like he had the talent to be a good wrestler. But it didn't seem like he did that. I heard he was very limited. He didn't really get much on DiBiase. DiBiase just very much, carried this match most of the way. But this match was more focused on the injury to Rowdy Roddy Piper. DiBiase pretty much got himself counted out, even though, once again, he was standing on the apron and he got counted out. And then he would go on, Virgil was already down. He would attack Piper. And then Sherry came out. This is when Sherry came out after she broke off with Savage and pretty much just sided with DiBiase. But then, Virgil, I can't remember if he would eventually, because this match was just like that. It just kind of dragged on a little bit, this aftermath. Virgil would eventually, help his friend Piper up pretty much. And I think, Piper still, was more into acting at the time. I think he did appear for a couple more matches eventually. But, again, his career went kind of back and forth. He was wrestling, and he was focused more on acting than he was wrestling. So he was still kind of like a part-timer. But I think this did set up for a future feud with Piper as well down the line. But the match, I wouldn't say it was as bad as a lot of people say it was, but it definitely wasn't really as special as what it could be, because the bill was kind of there. The bill was there, kind of like how it was with Orton and Triple H in 2009, where the bill was good, but the match just fell flat. So, not really too much to say about that. And another squash match, the Mountie with Jimmy Hart taking on Tito Santana. Not one of Santana's finest moments, as he lost after the Mountie hit him with a taser gun. Well, he actually tased him, and that's how he won. That's all. And then we had our main event for the World Wrestling Federation World Heavyweight Championship. It was Hulk Hogan taking on Sergeant Slaughter with General Adnan in his corner. The match wasn't too bad, but the build-up, Sergeant Slaughter was pretty much going out of his way to maybe get himself counted out or disqualified. And there was some blood in this match also on Hogan. But I know a lot of people at this time, I think, were starting to, see how Hogan had taken his course. It's like the year before, Ultimate Warrior kind of felt he had that more passed the torch on. That's how I felt too. But seeing this match again, Warrior still had the best match of the night, but he wasn't the main event. Hogan was in it again. It's like Hogan's been in every single main event except for WrestleMania 3. Well, he got involved in the main event, but I can see at this time, a lot of people were starting to get tired of Hogan being the main event. Like, okay, it's someone else's turn, and can't always just be Hogan. The match is still good for the way it was. It told a good story, and Slaughter's trying to escape, defending his title. Hogan, eventually, gets the upper hand on him, gets the victory, becomes a 3-time World Wrestling Federation World Heavyweight Champion. When again, the match was pretty good. It was a C+ match, typical average Hogan match. Was not as good though as like him and Savage, or even him and Warrior, of course, from last year. But the match is still pretty solid. So that is pretty much it for WrestleMania 7, guys. If I had to give it a grade, I would probably give it a higher grade than WrestleMania 6. I mean, WrestleMania 6 was pretty good. 7, again, was good until after the Savage and Warrior match. It kind of dipped. So, I mean, the main event was still solid. Most of it was pointless squash matches. The DiBiase and Virgil match definitely was disappointing. So, I'm going to give this WrestleMania a C+. That's what I give my grade for WrestleMania 7. What grade would you give WrestleMania 7? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Please make sure to click that like and subscribe button for more content coming to this channel. I will be reviewing Raw and SmackDown and NXT this week. I'm going to try. I didn't get to do it last week. I'll make my match card for NXT TakeOver War Games this week as well. So I'll get those done, and I'll continue with the WrestleMania series. We get to WrestleMania 8 next. And that's pretty much it, guys. Until then, guys, I'll catch you all later. Have a great night.